Well, we're here today at Sodoma Law talking about child custody, how it's determined, and parenting coordinators. And we have Doughton Horton here today, principal attorney here at Sodoma Law. Thanks for sitting down with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So let's talk a little bit about custody. First off, what's the difference between physical and legal custody? Because those aren't the same thing.
They're not the same thing. Physical custody, a good way to remember that is where your child physically is from a day-to-day perspective. So where your child is spending the night each night. Where are they for summer? Where are they during the holidays? How are you sharing parenting time of your child during the school year? So physical custody, again, a good way to remember it is physically where is your child day to day. Legal custody is different, and it pertains to who makes what decisions for the children. So when we talk about legal custody, we're talking about who makes decisions related to the education of the children or medical decisions. Those are the two big legal custody type decisions. And a lot of what we see is what they call joint legal custody, meaning both parents have the ability to confer about it and hopefully make a mutual agreement, but that doesn't always happen. So sometimes our judges will find a way for people to get past any impasses about certain legal custody type decisions.
And it can be really difficult to land on who's going to have these different types of custody, especially like you said, making medical decisions, picking vaccinations and things like that when parents don't agree on that. So how do you go about that? Yeah,
vaccinations is an interesting one, especially during COVID. But again, what courts will typically do, what we see is they'll give the parties joint legal custody. So what they're hoping the parents can do is confer with one another and reach an agreement. What may not be a surprise to a lot of people is that doesn't always happen. Sometimes what courts will do is they'll give what is called a tiebreaker authority to one of the parents. So they'll say, all right, parents, you guys have to confer with one another, try to meet your mutual agreement, but if you can't, dad gets the final say, or mom gets the final say. Another thing that courts will do is they might split the tiebreaker between the parents. And what I mean by that is they might say, all right, mom, you get the final say on education, but dad gets the final say on medical decisions. And those are just tools that the court might give parents to help them move past disagreements.
Right, and having somebody to kind of help you out with a lot of different things can be helpful. I know that a parenting coordinator is something people consider.
They can be very, very beneficial in high conflict cases. One role that a PC can fulfill is helping parents bridge any disagreements they may have about legal custody type decisions. So that may be one way in which a court says, look, mom and dad, if you guys can't agree on a decision, we're going to give that authority to the parenting coordinator. They can also help with any disputes there may be over the interpretation of an order. Hopefully you have an order that's very clear, everybody knows what their obligations are, but that doesn't always happen. And 2 years later, 2 months later, the parties may disagree about what the order means. And the PC, the parenting coordinator, can help the parents say, no, this is what this order means, this is what you need to do.
Well, as we wrap up here, the custody schedules can make all the difference in the life of the child, making sure that it works for the parents, but also that their child is comfortable. So how do you decide what the right schedule is?
Well, you look at a lot of different things. The age of the children, and the work schedule of the parents. Those are kind of the two practical things that I will almost immediately look at. Sometimes we have clients or the parties agree, we want 50-50. Well, 50-50, a week on, week off arrangement might make a lot of sense for a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old. But that's not going to make as much sense for some families for a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, because then they're going longer periods of time without seeing mom or dad. You also have to look at what are they able to do. You know, sometimes we have clients say, I want 50-50 custody, but then they tell me they travel from Sunday to Thursday. So you have to look at what are people's work schedules. Is there travel, or is it more traditional 9 to 5, or do they work from 3 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon? So when answering the question, what's right for me, I always start with the basics. What logistical considerations do we have? And you go from there.
Well, thank you so much for all this great information today. We really appreciate it. SodomaLaw.com for more information. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks.